Believers in Corinth believed food is food and had no pangs of conscience about it. Others with weak consciences, as Paul put it, believed the practice was wrong. Paul's advice? Don't precipitate a faith crisis by flaunting the freedom of conscience you have, though that freedom is important. Let us pray. Lord, we always seek your guidance so that all that we say or do will be pleasing and acceptable in your sight. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
And so you see, I, the Burger King, received this tape to play with important instructions. I'm about to play it again. Let's turn it up.
Good luck on your mission. This message will self-destruct in 5 seconds.
What was that he said about something impossible?
The King has completed one of his toughest missions yet and brought the Impossible Whopper to Cayman. The Impossible Whopper, just like the regular Whopper, but made from plants. Brand new on island and only at Burger King. 7 Mile Beach, Waterfront, Walker's Road, and Red Bay.
WorkJobs Cayman has a new look. Registered users can now experience a more user-friendly platform, allowing for easier registration and posting of job ads. To see and experience the new look today, visit www.work.ky. That's WORC.ky.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors. Accept no substitutes. Taste the feeling with Coca-Cola. Brand Source Home Gallery, inspiring luxury. Caribbean Bakery, made Cayman fresh.
Also brought to you by Ropers Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Products and services for better public health. Green Turtle. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today. The Ministry of Commerce, Planning and Infrastructure, and by West Bay Pharmacy, taking care of your health.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Monday, the 19th day of April 2021. I hope and I trust that everyone had a peaceful, restful weekend. Those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, whether you're a pedestrian, a cyclist, operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we urge you to please be extremely cautious. Ensure that you observe the rules of the road. By so doing, then the life you save may just be your own. For those of you who are celebrating a birthday today, we want to wish you a happy birthday, or if you've celebrated one over the weekend, a belated happy birthday as well. For those of you who have lost loved ones, again, we want to extend our sincere condolences to you, and we hope and we trust that your faith will help to carry you through these very challenging times, and may the memories of your loved ones remain a blessing to you as well. For those of you who are infirmed, either at home or at a medical facility, we want to wish you a speedy recovery as well. For those of you who still are on the edge of your seat, who are still a little bit nervous or anxious about what is happening in the political arena in the Cayman Islands, I say to you, please be calm. Rest assured that this too shall pass. We have been down this road before. We have overcome the challenges. We will overcome them again. Please stay calm. Let the process work. And there are solutions at the end of the day. Probably more than one solution available to get past this, what we deem as a crisis at this point in time. And of course, to help us understand what we're experiencing and to put some of the options on the table, the options that are available, and to also present various scenarios to you, our listening audience. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning none other than Dr. Steve Macfield. He has rejoined me from Friday. Before I say good morning to Dr. Macfield, I just want to say that I heard on another Radio Cayman show one individual expressing concerns and displeasure, I would say, about comments that were made on For the Record on Friday, on Friday, about the public, and they felt that it was demeaning what we were saying in relation to educating the public. And I just want to say that that is not or was not our intention. But sometimes people in Caymanians and others, we need to hear the unadulterated truth about us, about what we're facing, about how we meet those challenges that we're facing as well. And when I talk about the fact that we need more political education and that it may need to start other than in the schools, when I talk about the fact that we have not always risen to the challenges that face us, when I talk about the fact that it took us so long for us to have enough confidence in our own people before we could choose a speaker of our then Legislative Assembly from amongst ourselves, rather than having a person who was an administrator, Queen's representative, also sitting as Speaker in the House. It took us so long for that. How it took us so long to realize the equity and fairness of one person, one vote. And we hear talk about people wanting to be able to elect their premier. Then concepts like a national vote will have to come into play as well. My question, how long will it take for us to be able to educate the public and the public to understand that? Of course, you're never going to get 100% buy-in to any suggestion or any change. But if the majority of the people accept that change, then we should be pursuing it as well. So without any further ado, Doc, good morning, sir. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C., Mr. For the Record. And good morning to all your listeners in For the Record land and all the Cayman diaspora and all the people who are listening to you this morning on your radio show. It's good to be back with you in these times. And why is it that we always have is it the privilege or the problem on this radio show?
I consider it a privilege.
Oh, yes. Well, the privilege to try to bring the reality to bear on on your listeners. I was so surprised what you said, because you never discussed that with me, and about what someone questioned on Friday. But coincidentally, I had the same view this morning in a different format.
Okay.
Because I was thinking when I was driving down that because of the lack of civics taught in our schools, and because of the lack of discussion and analysis of our electoral system, we do not understand this crisis today, because there is a standoff now between the two groups of people who have been elected to the legislature, to the parliament. And I do not know, and I guess your listeners would not know, whether there's a deep ideological difference between them, why they cannot negotiate and find a solution, or whether it's poor personalities between them. I do not know that, because there has been no discussions, political discussion, education about the electoral system in this country, and so we're left in the dark. Because there's nothing new about after an election, a group or a political party comes into the parliament without a majority. I have a whole lot of examples for that. There's no magic for that. Lots of countries and lots of times, even in the mother country, which is the mother for our democracy, it happens that the ruling party, the incumbent party, and the opposite party come back from an election without a majority, and they have to negotiate with the other parties to form a government. That is nothing new. To us, it seems like it's we're going to lose our life if something doesn't happen. What we want to know is what's the basis that in a small group, on a small island, a small group of people, that you cannot, after 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 days, come to an agreement. What's the problem? That is the problem that we face, and we do not have an analysis to know what it is. Is it because they are so far apart ideologically, or is it personalities? That's something that we should discuss, and I think people who do not want to discuss that is not interested in a solution to the whole problems.
Okay, I think we already have a few callers lined up. Let's go straight to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C. How are you?
Good morning. I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Not bad. Good morning, doctor. How are you?
Good morning.
Well, you got to have to analyze some medication for the island people this morning. And first of all, I want to say I appreciate you, Mr. Connor, putting you on there, because you need to start a talk show yourself personally. But when I speak, I always speak of an uneducated person, but I think I got a quarter pound of common sense. All of the things that has been happening since this election, I think 2 days short of 1 week, in all of my lifetime, when I began voting, I never saw this happen before, not as far as it has gone this time. Even on Saturday and Friday night, there's things that has happened. And I will listen to other talk shows, and it is very disrespectful to the candidates that are on, that has ran and things. It's very, very vulgar and very, very embarrassing, and even for the host themselves to disrespect themselves like that. But I would like to say, and Doctor and Mr. Connor, you all can no more than me can answer this. I would think to solve this problem, each candidate from each district that was elected, they should go back now to their constituents, to their community. And I don't think that no other community supposed to interfere with that. For instance, Mr. Matfield, you and Mr. Connor has ran in Bordentown, and it's an issue they don't know what's going on. So you all should go back to your people in Bordentown and say, listen, I didn't put myself in here. You all voted me in. I am your servant. Please tell me what to do. What do you all want? That way, if they say go with A or go with B, you obey them. And if there's any repercussions, well, it wouldn't be on you. Mm-hmm. That's one. Second thing, let's talk about Mr. Bush, Mr. McKeever Bush. So many of these people that are in running, that has just been elected, have sworn and said many times they would never work with Mr. Bush. And the old Bible tells us that your words and your tongue is poison. Why now have they changed their mind? Although I remember years ago, Mr. Anton Borden would say, it's only a fool and a dead man that can't change his mind. Mm-hmm. But still, all of these people say that they would never work with Mr. Bush. But I think Mr. Bush is a key card. He can fit on any area. Mm-hmm. But the thing with that, I'm going to close off now. I would like you all, if I'm wrong, to tell me, do you all think that that's the best way to go about this, to solve this problem? Not people from West Bay coming to prospect, to protest. This prospect problem, like the prospect people that voted for that person, say we want them to work with it or work them.
Fully agree with you. Fully agree with you on that point. Definitely fully agree with you on that. That people should not be going into other districts to, if they haven't voted in that district, to try to influence the person or the people in that district as well. Let's grab the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Mr. Hossein, and Dr. Steve.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
How are you?
I'm good. I just, I like what the caller said. I agree. I think that was the whole point of the one man, one vote. I think that's why we brought it in, because we moved away from a national election. We moved into each constituency being responsible for the person that they wanted elected, and that meant that those persons who are elected are responsible for their constituency. I mean, that is what I understood to be the gist of what the process was about. So, like the caller before, I believe they should go back to their constituency, have a meeting, and then come back to the general populace and say, this is what we have decided, and this is where we stand. Now, whether people agree with that or not is a different scenario, and I'm not going to get into that. I'm just saying that was my own understanding. So I'm a little caught this morning as to how it should work, because I think there's so many differing opinions on how it should work that it caused some dismay for persons, right? But I'd just like to say, but if people feel that they need to protest, absolutely, that's your right. You want to protest because you are in disagreement or something, do so. My only concern, and this has bothered me the entire weekend, is that we got to a point in a protest that we began to attack individuals based on appearances, based on opinions of how they are and who they are, and name calling, and I'm not sure how it got turned to that side. And I don't know why some people feel that that's okay, because to me that's not okay. And then when I think of the children who have witnessed this, and those going to school this morning, and what they must think of their counterparts in the other districts, that just leaves me a little burden this morning, because children are going to follow. And then we had a whole I don't even know what to call that, a whole discussion and all kinds of stuff being said when one of the leaders in the community was being discussed, and how we were going to hold people to the highest standard from the top down, and rah. And I just thought, so this morning, I am left now as to why we believe that we can hold people to account, and that's what we should do. But then we don't hold sometimes our own selves on account, and then we think, why are young people feeling okay to do particular things? So I just want us to take a step back. I want to see a peaceful resolution. I can't express that enough. I've never seen where we fight fire with fire and fire out it. I've never seen otherwise. The fire department would have a hose full of fire, and when houses become on fire, we run to them and we hose them down with fire. We tend to hose them down with something that's going to out the flame.
Yes, a retardant.
I think that's the same process we need this morning. And regardless of what side we're on, I think we have to hold ourselves to a mandate that we are going to remain peaceful, we are going to remain calm, we are going to be respectful, because the people really who we are affecting this morning are not foreign nationals. We are Caymanians, whether we live in the district of East End, whether, like myself, we live in the district of Bordentown, West Bay, Northside, Little Cayman, Prospect, wherever we are from. We are Caymanians, and we have to have a respect for each other and a love for each other, whether we agree or we disagree. And that is what I would like to say this morning, is be respectful of each other, and the fact that your opinions will never, ever all be the same. I don't want other people to be exactly like me, because then I wouldn't be who I am.
Yep.
And I just want us to remain respectful. Remember that our children will go into school this morning with opinions that we have created about other individuals. And then when we see fights happen because they don't know how to handle all the information they've received, we start downgrading the children, talking about they can't behave.
Yep.
That's not always the case. But this morning I leave you with that. Caymanians, be respectful of each other. Hold yourself to a higher standard, that we will, when we go into negotiations, we can negotiate amicable, in an amicable manner.
Yep, well said.
That is my thing this morning.
Well said. Thank you very much for that. Folks, we have to take a commercial break at this point in time. Please stay tuned. For the record with Dr. Steve Macfield. We'll continue after this short commercial break.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Henry Ackerman, 1908.
Henry Ackerman was born in West Bay, one of 7 children of Henry Azariah and Lydia Ackerman. After completing his formal schooling there, he became a seaman. He sailed as a crew member on board ships of the Swanee Steamship Company and National Bulk Carriers, as well as on U.S. supply ships during World War II. He mastered many other trades as well in order to support his family. He was a skilled barber, shoe repairman, fisherman, and painter. He was married to Coriel Louise Ebanks, and together they raised 1 son and 4 daughters. They also raised a physically handicapped boy who later became a talented carpenter. After Louise's death, Henry married Mae Jackson. Henry remained a devoted and loving son to his parents, looking after them in their home until they died within 12 hours of each other at the age of 85.
Radio Cayman's Historical Vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
We are telling you ahead of time, giving you the heads up to get ready. The Black Tie Affair with a circus twist. Step right up. The annual gala hosted by Rotary Central for the Alex Panton Foundation. Saturday, May 29th, Marriott Beach Hotel Ballroom. Step right up. Support the Alex Panton Foundation, dedicated to serving and preserving young people through vulnerable times, mental health intervention, treatment, guidance, preserving life. The ambience of a circus affair. Tickets are limited, tickets are precious. Get your tickets from Rotary Central members. Go online to Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation Facebook pages. Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation. Rotary opens opportunity.
It's time to buy smart. It's time to buy Ropers. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Ropers. Appliances, dishware, bulk foods, and so much more. With huge savings. Ropers is stocked for your hurricane supplies. Don't cut back on your needs. Cut back on your spending with Ropers. Your neighborhood store. Value. Integrity. Ropers Enterprises. 122 Industrial Way. Call 949-2511. Clean up your spending with Ropers. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vamt Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vamtmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Ort Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. It is my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Dr. Steve MacPhail. We're again discussing the post-election maneuvers and all of the protocols that have to be followed, the various sections of the elections law and the Constitution as well. So what I basically want to lay out for you is what we want to explain to our listening and viewing audience this morning about the whole process. Yes, I understand that many of you will want to either vent your frustrations or present suggestions or observations, and we're going to allow you to do that. But first, we want to set the stage for this whole thing. We have about 4 minutes before we go to our 8 o'clock news, so we've closed off the phone lines for now, just to try to set the table for you. And we're going to start with the issuing of writs for holding elections, because this is extremely important. When the governor decided on request to dissolve the legislature or the parliament, it was based on particular dates that were in mind. Then a request was made by the premier to dissolve the parliament sooner than had been announced. Writs were issued for that purpose for the first one. Writs were issued for the second. Here's what the Elections Law, Section 28, subsection 1 says in relation to the issue of writs for holding elections. It says, for the purpose of every general election of members of the Cayman Islands Parliament, and for the purpose of the election of members to supply vacancies caused by death, resignation, or otherwise, the governor shall issue writs under the public seal addressed to the returning officer of the respective electoral districts for which members are to be returned. Such writs shall be forwarded to the supervisor for transmission to the several returning officers. And we saw photo ops and everything of that being done with the returning officers. Subsection 2 says that every writ shall be informed 16, and shall specify the date and place of nomination of candidates, the day on which, if necessary, the poll shall be taken, being not less than 6 weeks after the day of such nomination, and the day on or before which such writs shall be returnable to the governor. So, I have to do this in 2 minutes, Doc. But that writ was issued. The elections took place. The governor probably heard about the results of the elections. The official notification of the results of the elections in the form of that writ. If you look at the calendar of events for the election schedule, the 19th of January, today, is the date for that, the last date for that writ to be submitted, each of those writs to be submitted to the governor. When I checked with someone on Friday, the writs had not been returned yet at that point in time. So the rumors that we heard about the fact that Parliament was going to meet on Friday for members to be sworn in, I thought, well, how can that be if the writs have not yet been received by the governor officially, advising him of
who was duly elected.
Exactly.
And who lawfully elected. So, and then what that brings me to the point that I want to make, that even though the writ was done and stuff, it's not always predictable that the outcome of an election, how many seats is going to be won by each party. And who the new government is going to be. You cannot predict that. That any group is going to have an absolute majority once the election takes place, and this is what has happened in this particular phase. So after the writ, even though some people went to the governor before the writ was the governor had the writ in his hand, the writ of the return from the elections office, that was also premature. Because the governor had no idea who was duly elected at that particular time.
No official notification.
No official until after Friday.
Okay, folks, we reached the top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. When we return, then we're going to talk about the election returns and what that says as well. For the record, we'll be back shortly with Dr. Steve McField, so please stay tuned.
At Foster's, we have better products at better prices.
We sure do. And on special this week, we have DiCecco pasta. Selected varieties for $1.89. Save 50 cents.
We also have Sea Best Raw Shrimp, 32 ounce, only $12.99. Save $5. And Jergens Skincare Lotions. Selected varieties, only $2.09. Save $1.
Price is good until April 21st, 2021. Find more great specials in-store or by visiting fosters.ky. Fosters. Better prices because we care.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings shining in the sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. We are a not-for-profit, member-centric plan with a democratically elected volunteer board of trustees representing all sectors of the Cayman Islands economy. We have an all-in expense ratio of less than 1%, over 20,000 members, and $490 million in assets under management. We were the first multi-employer pension plan approved by the regulator in the late 1990s, and today we are still strong, secure, and are here for our employees and employers alike. If you would like to join or require further information, visit chamberpension.ky. And for information as it happens, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Email admin@pensions.ky or call 745-7630. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
With your latest news, I'm Karsley Fuller. Newly elected MPs continue working to form a government with contradicting statements issued from both sides, the Progressives and the Independents, over the weekend. An appeal for calm was made after one of the MPs' home reportedly became the site of a protest. Announcements are expected later today as a swearing-in ceremony for the new government is expected later this week. Cayman's general election was held last week Wednesday, Cayman choosing 19 representatives. The results saw 12 incumbents and 7 newcomers. As efforts continue by Cayman's newest MPs elected on Wednesday to form a government, the deputy governor says every election the civil service prepares for a number of scenarios.
We understand that we may have a new government, the existing government may be returned, or we could have a combination of both. This year has been no different.
The Honorable Franz Manderson says the civil service has prepared a number of documents, including briefing notes, to ensure a smooth transition of power.
The purpose of our civil service is to make the lives of those we serve better. We do that by implementing the policy priorities and projects of the government for the people of the Cayman Islands.
Mr. Manderson says the civil service stands ready to work with and for the final ruling government for the benefit of the country. In regional news in Jamaica, 5 functionaries of the People's National Party have testified in open court in the Trafigura bribery case after the Privy Council this morning upheld the rulings of local courts. Former Prime Minister and former party president Portia Simpson Miller, former Chairman Robert Pickersgill, current Chairman Philip Paulwell, former Secretary General Colin Campbell, and businessman Norton Hines are the persons to testify. According to the Jamaica Gleaner, they have now exhausted all their options as the United Kingdom-based Privy Council is Jamaica's highest court. The judges handed down their decision just over 6 weeks after hearing submissions on March 1st from attorneys for the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions and the PNP officials. The case had been stalled by legal challenges for over a decade. The ODPP is Jamaica's designated central authority under the Mutual Assistance Criminal Matters Act. And this matter acts on behalf of Dutch investigators probing a 2006 donation to the PNP by the firm Trafigura Beheer. Dutch firms are prohibited from making donations to foreign governments. The authorities in the Netherlands requested that Simpson Miller, Pickersgill, Paulwell, Campbell and Hines answer questions about the $31 million donation in 2006. The financial contribution was made while Jamaica, under the leadership of the Simpson Miller administration, had an oil lifting agreement with the Dutch company. Now with the check of international news, here's the BBC, which will take us out of the newscast. I'm Karsley Fuller from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. A remotely controlled drone operated by the American space agency NASA has made its first flight over the surface of Mars. The mini helicopter successfully lifted into the Martian atmosphere, hovered, then landed safely after a 40-second flight. Engineers and technicians at Mission Control erupted into cheers as pictures of the flight, the first on another planet, were beamed back to Earth from nearly 280 million kilometres away. Russia's prison service says Alexei Navalny, the country's leading opposition activist, has been moved to a medical facility amid concern about his deteriorating health. Officials said he had been admitted to a prison hospital after 20 days on hunger strike. UEFA, football's governing body, is to hold a crisis meeting after proposals were announced by 12 clubs from Britain, Spain and Italy to form a breakaway midweek Super League. The new competition has been met by outrage by many in the game, including former players and fans of the clubs concerned. Lawyers will start presenting closing arguments today in the trial of Derek Chauvin, the former white police officer charged with murdering the African-American George Floyd in Minneapolis last year. 40 witnesses have given evidence, and the trial is being widely seen as a reckoning in the way the United States polices black people. A Russian diplomat involved in talks in Vienna on reviving the Iran nuclear deal says they've entered what he called the drafting stage, but he said that a resolution was still some way off. In South Africa, the director of Cape Town's University Library says a unique collection of African archives has been destroyed by wildfire. The university, schools and homes have been evacuated as the blaze moves towards the city centre. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is proudly sponsored by the Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. For further information, please visit chamberpension.ky.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you. Are you aware of the performance of your pension plan? The Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan provides quarterly fund fact sheets for our members to stay informed with the plan's performance. For the year ended August 31st, various life cycle funds provided returns between 9.2% and 16.5%, and our all-in expense ratio is currently the lowest it's ever been, a record low at 0.72%. Visit chamberpension.ky to review our fund fact sheets. You can see the performance as far back as 10 years. Remember that pensions are a longer-term investment strategy. Focus on the long term rather than the short-term returns. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan continues to perform for you.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
That thing we've been saying for 64 years, ignore it. Eat the KFC wings, drink the KFC gravy, fill up on fries. Just please forget the thing we normally suggest. You know, that thing you used to do with your tongue after finishing a delicious piece of our KFC chicken. We get it. It's not easy. There's a reason why it's been our slogan for over half a century. But the world's drastically changed of late, and as soon as we can embrace the change, the sooner we can all get back to doing what we do best. KFC. It's good.
Did you know that having the right encounter with someone can change your life forever? Hi friends, I would like to invite you to a special event, Encounters with Jesus, Life-Changing Stories. Between April 11 and April 24, join us for this impactful worship series each Sunday to Thursday at 7:15 p.m. and on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. This series will be held at the Creek Seventh-day Adventist Church in Cayman Brac, and you can find us at 360A Creek Road. Join Pastor Maurice Chambers and Elder Joshua Lawrence as they guide you through the journey of Encounters with Jesus, Life-Changing Stories, the series that promises to introduce you to concepts that will change your entire look at life.
The 8:10 a.m. weather report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we are more than an insurance company. We are family. To learn more about our first-in-class individual and group life, disability and accident solutions, please visit Pan American International Insurance Corporation at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Sound Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304 and visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
For additional weather information, visit www.weather.gov.ky. As well, stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
The 8:10 a.m. Weather Report, Monday through Friday, is proudly sponsored by Pan American International Insurance Corporation. Pan American International Insurance Corporation, meeting the life, accident, and health insurance needs of individuals and businesses to ensure financial security and peace of mind. For more information, call 949-8304 or visit www.palig.com. That's PALIG.com.
For over 100 years, more than 5.8 million people across the Americas and the Caribbean have placed their trust in Pan American Life Insurance Group. We have delivered on our promise and have proven that we are more than an insurance company. We are family. To learn more about our first-in-class individual and group life, disability and accident solutions, please visit Pan American International Insurance Corporation at Unit 221, Cannon Place East, North Song Road, Grand Cayman, or contact us at 949-8304 and visit us online at www.palig.com. Pan American Life, people you can trust for life.
During these unprecedented times, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Cayman Strong Series. The Cayman Strong Series is brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
Achieving your goals is a very rewarding feeling, but at times can feel very frustrating, especially if and when we miss our target. As you approach your goals in life, set yourself up for success.
When setting your goals, tell a friend. Having an accountability partner is often helpful in achieving your goals. Let your parents and partner know what you are planning or doing. Sharing with others also helps us to develop the ideas and our vision. Writing down your goals can help to solidify them for you and help you to stay accountable.
Change your thinking and change your life.
Radio Cayman's Cayman Strong Series was brought to you by OnCourse Cayman. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
These days, feelings of loneliness, anxiety, stress, and depression can be overwhelming. Just know you are not alone. OnCourse Cayman offers private mental health services for children, teens, adults, and groups. Visit oncourse.ky to view a full list of wellness services and their qualified team. OnCourse Cayman, health, wellness, and happiness.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Things just got a bit hotter on Island. Come in today and order the new spicy Korean subs at Subway. They're sweet, spicy, and especially satisfying. Stop in and try the pulled pork with spicy Korean sauce, or the chicken with spicy Korean sauce. And you can message WhatsApp at 929-4658. Order online or use Let's Eat or the Bento app. The spicy Korean subs at Subway in 2 flavors, extra saucy and extra spicy. Subway, eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
We are telling you ahead of time, giving you the heads up to get ready. The Black Tie Affair with a circus twist. Step right up. The annual gala hosted by Rotary Central for the Alex Panton Foundation. Saturday, May 29th, Marriott Beach Hotel Ballroom. Step right up. Support the Alex Panton Foundation, dedicated to serving and preserving young people through vulnerable times, mental health intervention, treatment, guidance, preserving life. The ambience of a circus affair. Tickets are limited, tickets are precious. Get your tickets from Rotary Central members. Go online to Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation Facebook pages. Rotary Central and the Alex Panton Foundation. Rotary opens opportunity.
Radio Cayman News.
The results saw 12 incumbents and 19 newcomers.
The most highly anticipated result was the race between Mario Ebanks and the Honorable Makiba Bush.
Elections are now officially over, but it certainly kept us on our toes.
It was a rather emotional win for incumbent Dwayne Seymour.
It's about who can pull together a team to form a government.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Dr. Steve McFeel. We have several WhatsApp messages and we will be opening the phone lines again. Before we get back to these writs, Doc, you know, there's a saying, an adage that history never repeats itself.
Mm-hmm.
But 59 years ago,
yes,
in the Cayman Islands, it was a Panton and a MacTaggart.
And a MacTaggart. Yes.
2021, what do we have?
Yes.
A Panton
and
a MacTaggart.
Yes.
Different circumstances, but the two families.
The two families are locked head again.
Yeah, and of course, those days, the boogeyman that was used was that we were going to be controlled by Jamaica,
and we would be swamped.
Yes, and we would be swamped. By Jamaicans. It's so
the lie that they told, the untruth that they told that time, was that we were going into independence with Jamaica.
Uh-huh.
The truth about that is Jamaica was going into independence. We were administered by Jamaica. We were never a crown colony. We were never a colony under Britain. Yeah. We were administered by Jamaica as if we were part of Jamaica. So Jamaica was offering us a internal self-government constitution to get us on our way ourselves. The only impediment to that was that we did not have defense and external affairs offices to facilitate our internal self-government status. In the whole scheme of things, Jamaica offered to provide those services for us for £10,000 a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It had nothing to do with going into independence with Jamaica. But that is what they told the people in 1962, the 18th and 19th of January, when the governor came down here to explain to the people in Cayman that Jamaica was going into independence and Jamaica was offering us the country that they administered, that we were going to have a full internal self-government in the Constitution. Yep. And the reason why that Panton MacTaggart thing came about is because it was obvious from the election of the two political parties, the Christian Democrats and the National Democrats, that Mr. Ormond Panton, who had the majority of seats in the election that year, would have been the first chief minister of Cayman Islands, and the other parties did not want that to happen. Mm-hmm. And so they fostered this lie to say that Mr. Ormond Panton and the National Democrats were going to go into independence with Jamaica. Right. That never was the thing. It's all there laid out in the archives for anyone who wants to go, don't believe what I say, go and read it themselves.
And people need to understand that those parties at that time, they weren't parties of independence.
Exactly. They were not parties of independence. Okay. They could not be parties of independence.
It's an oxymoron.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're going back to talk about the elections law because there's a point where the provisions in the elections law will end and the provisions of the Constitution will kick in. So we had the writs that were issued by the governor to the supervisor of elections, to the various returning officers. We have had the elections. The returning officers now have those writs that they should return to the supervisor. And here's what Section 61 says. It says the returning officer, within the time specified for the return of any writ, shall forward to the supervisor the writ with that person's return in the form set out in Form 32, endorsed thereon, showing the candidates declared to be elected in accordance with Section 58. He also has to provide a report showing the number of votes cast for each candidate at each polling station and making such observations as the returning officer may think proper as to the state of the election papers as received from the presiding officers. Also should provide the number of persons to whom it appears from the counterfoils ballot papers have been supplied in the electoral district. A report on the reserve supply of undistributed blank ballot papers, poll book, the various things. When the supervisor receives all of that under subsection 2, the supervisor shall, on receiving the return of any member elected to serve in the Cayman Islands Parliament, cause it to be entered in the order in which such return is received by the supervisor in a book to be kept by that supervisor for such purpose, and thereupon immediately cause a notice to be published in the Gazette and at least one newspaper circulating in the islands of the name of the candidate so elected and in the order in which it was received. Then the supervisor shall, on receiving the return of any member elected to serve in the Cayman Islands Parliament, transmit the writ with the return endorsed thereon to the governor within the time specified in such writ. The governor shall, within 7 days of the receipt of the said writ, return the same to the supervisor for safe custody in accordance with Section 62. So if we stop there for a second. So what we know at this point in time is that today, the 19th, Monday, the 19th of April, is the last day that writ can be, those writs can be issued to the governor. So he should have them by today. We also know that the supervisor of elections must gazette, as well as placing in at least 2 publications in the Cayman Islands, the results of the elections as well. Not sure whether or not that has happened yet, but my take is all of that has to happen before they go down to the parliament. Yes. So we're going to talk now about where the Constitution kicks in. Doc, over to you.
Okay. Now, the section that I'm going to read now, this section deals with the first order of business when the parliament meets after an election. Yes. This is what this section deals with. And it says, at the first sitting of the Legislative Assembly, which is now Parliament, after a general election, and as soon as practicable after a vacancy occurs in the relevant office, otherwise than on a dissolution of the Legislative Assembly, the elected members of the Parliament by a majority vote elect a speaker from among the elected members of the Parliament or persons who are qualified to be elected as members of the Parliament other than ministers. And B, a deputy speaker from the elected members of the Parliament other than ministers. And the election of the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker shall take precedence over any other business of the Parliament. Now, this is the only time in the Parliament that members of Parliament, MPs, have a chance to vote and to speak before they take the oath of allegiance, before they're sworn in. This is the only time. So this is very, very, very important, as it's set out here in section 605, section 605 of the Constitution.
Okay.
So in other jurisdictions, there is no problem when it comes to that, because in most other jurisdictions, the person who was Speaker when the Parliament was dissolved usually comes back as Speaker if there is no problem. But of course, in Cayman, we don't have the same, we're not in the same position today, because as we know it, the Speaker was not accepted to continue in office, and it was because of that a general election was called prematurely before the time was allotted for it, so that the government could more or less get rid of the Speaker.
Okay, so in the scenario that is likely to play out at some point in time, it is the Father of the House who would sit in the chair for the purpose of
that's right.
the election.
It's the person who has the longest serving elected person in the Parliament, who will sit in the chair,
preside,
to call Parliament together to elect the Speaker, and that person is still Mr. Bakiba Bush.
Okay.
Whoever will form the government, whoever will form the government, he will have to sit in the chair, firstly, to receive the motion to elect a Speaker.
And unless he is elected as Speaker, then that role will be occupied by whomever, whichever other person is chosen.
Whichever other elected member becomes Speaker, or if they elect a Speaker from outside the House, that role will be, that person will sit in the chair for the duration of the 4 years of the legislature, unless something happens and he's removed.
Okay, so let's look at this scenario. So when they are going into Parliament, if they go on Wednesday into Parliament, they should know who their Speaker is going to be, because you don't want to nominate Dr. Steve McPhail as Speaker and elect him as Speaker, and Dr. McPhail is at home and not knowing anything about it, right?
Exactly.
So all of this should be predictable. We should know exactly what
all of this should be predictable. And in most jurisdictions, you will know who is going to be the government, because all the negotiations, if the government does not have if a group does not have a majority, all the negotiations between them would have taken place, and we will know who is going to form the government on that day. Because the problem that you'll have the Speaker elected in the legislature, but you will still have no government. You still have no government. If it's still locked in an equal division, you still have no government. That is the possibility, because even though let's just open up this, say they go down there on Wednesday. The PPM have 9 people, the Independents have 9, and Mr. Bush breaks the tie by voting for a government, voting for a majority. He votes for the PPM majority, or he votes for the independent majority. But then Parliament meets, and the first order of business after the thing is the throne speech. But he doesn't vote for them on the throne speech. What happens then? They will come back to be tie, and the Speaker will have to vote to keep the status quo. And the status quo will be the way it was before the motions were brought. And what would happen then?
When you say the way the motions were brought, this would mean if
a motion brought to accept this through speech.
Okay.
And Mr. Makiba, now who has the key card? He has the key domino in the legislature because no one wants to deal with him.
Mm-hmm. Now, yes, when you and I spoke about this, I think we talked about maybe one of the solutions, if one of these scenarios were to arise, would be for the UK to amend the Cayman Islands Constitution to allow the ex-official members, that is, they are
the Attorney General and the Deputy Governor who do not have a vote enough to vote. They did that in 1990. You remember that?
Yes.
With Bill 390.
Yeah.
They did that in 1990. That could happen again if this impasse go on. Because they would not step in to call a new election because there is somebody in the legislature who could form a government, who could form a majority.
But in our case now, it would take longer because it is enshrined in the Constitution that the ex-official members do not have a vote. So you would have to amend the Constitution.
Well, they can
do that as quickly as they want to.
They could do that quickly by an order in council.
Uh-huh.
They could do that by an order in council as quick as they want. If this continues to a degree where they say we have to have a government in place. That's the scenario that could happen, because I don't think the British government would want this to continue for months and months with a split majority in the House, when there with a situation in the House where we do not have a majority, and they're going to say it's not a constitutional crisis that for them to call a new election, because you do have the mechanism in the legislature to have a majority. Is just that people not accepting, neither side is accepting that person on their side, so that a majority can be obtained.
Okay. Now, over the weekend, I've also heard people talk about, well, if we're not careful, we see what the UK did in Turks and Caicos and put them under administration. I don't see that happening here, because it's not a situation where you have corruption or anything. We just simply have a deadlock in our parliament.
That's right.
We may have a deadlock in our parliament, and if we do have that deadlock, then there are mechanisms in place, for that to happen. One of the scenarios that I looked at and perceived was, if on Wednesday they go down to the parliament, and the premier is selected, and after the premier is selected, and he looks at, his other ministers informing it, no one has gone over to the other side, and his margins are so slim. His margin is so slim that he feels that he's unable to effectively govern, or for any length of time govern, with the combination that he has. One of the options that would be open would be to request the governor to dissolve the parliament again and call new elections. Now, whether or not the people of the Cayman Islands have the appetite for that, some may welcome it and say, well, in some scenarios we came so close a few weeks, last week, that this may be an opportunity for us. Whether or not voters have an appetite for that, whether or not the business community has an appetite for that, whether or reputational integrity in the Cayman Islands can sustain that. That's another story,
That's another story. And that would be an option for anyone who becomes premier that does not have a majority to govern.
Yes.
And in fact, I would expect that he would have to do something like that.
Okay, let's look at Section 49 now in relation to what we've been talking about, the selection of the premier.
Now, for your listener, this section deals with political parties and candidates in the parliament to appoint the premier. This is what this section deals with. It deals with political parties and candidates in the parliament to deal with the election of the premier. And I'll read the section. It says appointments of the premier and other ministers. 49.1. The premier shall be appointed by the governor as follows. Where a political party, and I read out, where a political party gains a majority of the seats of elected members of the parliament, the governor shall appoint as premier the elected member of the parliament recommended by a majority of the elected members who are members of that party. So, if Party A wins a majority after the vote is counted and all of those mechanisms that you went through has been followed. If Party A wins a majority, the members of that party would send a recommendation to the governor of the person in that party who they want to be the premier.
And that scenario is out of the question because we have not reached that plateau.
Because no political party has had a majority in the legislature at this particular time.
Okay. So we go to the...
But there's an alternative to that.
Yes.
And the alternative is found in subsection 3. And it reads, if no political party gains such a majority, or if no recommendation is made under subsection 2, the one above just read, the Speaker shall cause a ballot to be held among the elected members of the Parliament to determine which elected member commands the support of the majority of such members, and shall record the vote of each member voting. And where such a ballot is held, the governor shall appoint as premier the elected member who obtains a majority of the votes of the elected members.
And that's what will play out whenever the parliament meets.
And so
that's the scenario that
you will always have this scenario here in subsection 3 when
a party doesn't gain a majority.
A party doesn't gain a majority, whether they are a party or whether they are independents. But if the opening words in the section suggest that this constitution, this system of government in which we operate under, is a political party system.
Yeah.
Now,
it's designed for that.
It's designed for that.
But
now,
in the event that we don't have, parties, there are other options.
There are other options. Now, someone wrote to me on the weekend and said to me, "What would be the problem? What would I think on this radio station too? Can the independents now write a letter to the governor now and say that we are a party?" Now it's too late for that now, because they would have to have their party constitution, similar to a company. You have the memorandum and articles of association. We would have their constitution and their bylaws of how their party governs the people who are members of that party. That would come. They would come together. That would then have to be registered under the elections law as a political party with a seal and a certificate, and that would. Too late for that now. That could not happen now.
We allow that to happen in previous time.
Yes, previous time, but this cannot happen now.
Okay, Doc, we have to take a commercial break now. When we return, the conversation will continue with Dr. Steve Macfield, so please stay tuned.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste, just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
The Cayman Islands Seafarers Association, would like to inform all members that there will be a general meeting on Tuesday, 20th of April at 7:30 p.m. in the Seafarers Hall located on 11 Victory Avenue in Prospect. Guest speakers will be the Lions on Pace. Transportation will be provided for the meeting. 3 buses will leave from the West Bay Town Hall at 6 p.m. The Barnes bus route in Georgetown leaves the public library parking area at 6:45, stopping at the Cayman Compass building and the airport Fosters. The bus marked Bobo $1 public transport and is blue in color will do pickups from British Caymanian and Uncle Bill's on Eastern Avenue, Walkers Road, Shedden Road, and then Crew Road. The bus from East End will do pickups from the primary school parking lot, the gas station, and wreck of the 10 Sails starting at 5:45. Northside bus pickups are at Chisholm Store and the soccer field starting at 6:15. Audintown pickups are at Lorna's gas station at 6:45, and Savannah pickups are at the gas station next to Wendy's at 7 p.m. Remember, the CISA General Meeting is Tuesday, April 20th, 7:30 p.m. at the Seafarers Hall.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vant Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vantmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vant Motors on Walkers Road.
Honey, our fridge has stopped working again. Everything in the freezer is melting. We need to get this repaired right away. I'm calling Brand Source Service.
When you need the very best appliance service, call Brand Source Service at 623-5000. Offering service and installation of all brands and models of appliances. Brand Source Service is Cayman's source for appliance parts and repairs with qualified and experienced technicians and the island's largest stock of appliance parts. Brand Source Service will have your repair completed in a flash. So, whatever the problem is, call the experts at 623-5000. Brand Source Service, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park. Telephone 623-5000.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. DJ Lynn, here's what I'm going to do. I have several WhatsApp messages that came in real early. We're going to take the WhatsApp messages, read those out, discuss those, and then after headline news, then we open up the phone lines for real at that point in time. So here's one comment. It says, good morning to both of you gents, pertaining to both sides of those elected coming together to form the government. We all know what the dissensions are all about. Who gets which ministry or which ministerial position. Cannot both sides sit and choose the persons who have the experience and expertise and who have been in the legislature over time to hold such ministerial positions and put the country's welfare before self? That's what I and others put. That is why I and others put our X for the whole world's listening and watching us. So this person is suggesting that they sit together, look at the experience that each person has, choose the ministries based on that, and do it for the good of country. Does that really work in the adversarial system that we have established?
It worked in Singapore.
Okay.
If you look at the history of Singapore, when the gentlemen who formed the modern Singapore, remember, they came down to Jamaica and looked at their system. Was it what's that guy, the gentleman name? I can't remember his name now. But they came, they looked at the systems in different parts, and they went back and set up a system where they got the best of the qualified people in their system, and they formed a system like no others, and their country quickly developed into one of the most successful economic systems in countries in the world today. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if that is possible in Cayman, because I keep remembering what Andrew Morris Gerard said in 1956.
Yeah.
He said that and this is his words, not mine. He says that the Caymanian legislators, politicians were the most unscrupulous bunch of people that he's ever met. They do not want to adhere and cooperate with each other. He says when one of them becomes the captain of Ship Cayman, they all want to go up into the wheelhouse and steer that ship. And if you don't let them do that, they will go down in the engine and wreck the engine, so the person who can steer the ship cannot go anywhere. Mm-hmm. And that has been sort of our historical legacy. We are not a people who will adhere to the best interests of our people. We have always had personality politics. Mm-hmm. throughout the whole history of our political system.
Not necessarily unique to Cayman.
No, but I'm just saying us.
Yes, yeah. Okay, here's another one. Says the failure of one man, one vote system is obvious now, as it should not have been implemented without a proper party system in place. The system as is cannot work as is. Perhaps we should call another referendum in 4 years to revert to the voting system and teams we had, if a party system is not deemed suitable for a small country. Well, I don't think you can blame it on the one person.
It has got nothing to do with the one man, one vote. And it has nothing to do with the party system. The problem is that some Caymanians have been convinced by some people that parties are bad. Parties have successfully developed their countries all over the world. Canada has 3 or 4 political parties. They have the Conservative, the Liberals, the Parti Québécois, mm-hmm. the NDP. Scotland has so many different parties. England has 3 or 4. New Zealand has different parties. Australia has parties. India, the largest democracy in the world, has different political parties, and we don't have this problems when after an election. Usually, you know who's going to be the government. Mm-hmm. It's the people who run the party system. You cannot run a party system as your own little shop. The party system encompasses everybody in the party should have a voice. Mm-hmm. And they have not understand how the party system works. So what they have done, they have selected one country. They have selected our neighbor Jamaica, because they have a lot of problems with how their system works, and they have said, oh, the party system can't work because look what's happened to them. What about the other successful countries where the party system works every day?
Okay, here's another one. It says, Mr. McLean campaigned with Chris Saunders. I guess this would probably, I'm not going to assume who Mr. McLean is. I'm going to just read it as it is. Mr. McLean campaigned with Chris Saunders and most of the independents. Don't you think if East End wanted them to govern, they would have voted for Mr. McLean? So what they're basically saying is they didn't vote for Mr. McLean in East End. That means, and Mr. McLean campaigned with Chris Saunders, so that means if you didn't want Mr. McLean, you didn't want the group that Chris Saunders is with also.
Well, we don't know.
That's my interpretation.
We don't know why Mr. McLean campaigned with Chris Saunders. Mr. McLean has not said so publicly, and the problem is what people do not understand. An independent really is an independent. He can do what he wants to do because he runs as an independent. He runs for himself, really. He is telling the people, I run as an independent. He might make promises to them and so forth. but he's not belong to a party where he has to abide by the party system. You see, in the party, they don't vote for you personally or as a party, as a person for Ort Connor. They vote for the party in which you belong. That's the reasons why in our country and in other jurisdictions, you don't have to belong to the district in which you are elected in to run, because if the party tries to get a seat in East End, but you do not live in East End and you belong to party A, the party can send you up there to try to win a seat for the party because the party wants to win the seat or they want to have a larger majority. So party politics is not personality politics, it's party politics. And until people get educated about how the electoral system works, we are going to always have this problem. It's trust, accountability, and reliability and surety in a system where you belong. For instance, if you work in a bank, you can't go and loan money to people when the banks say that this person that is not supposed to get a loan. If you work in the bank, you have to abide by the rules and regulations of the bank. It's the same thing if you're in a football. If you're a receiver in a football, you can't run anywhere and expect that the quarterback is going to...
You have to play the position that has been assigned to you.
You're assigned to you.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Okay, here's another one. Says, I have a question. Since last Wednesday, so many names have been heard that want to be premier. My question is, since the independents got the most votes, this is the only scenario I haven't seen or heard put forward. Why can't Panton and Roy be premier and deputy premier, and then they share up the seats, automatically giving Kim and Brack one seat, so they will be properly represented? That's my question. Independently asked by me, who is sitting on the sidelines watching and hearing so many scenarios. Well, we had the Conservatives and the Lib Dems with David Cameron.
They did that in 2017.
Right? Cameron was the Prime Minister.
Yes.
And what's his name? Nick Clegg was the Deputy Prime Minister.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And I think they may have had some ministerial seats, in government as well, the Lib Dems.
That
and
worked.
then the next election that they had, they went their separate ways.
Yes.
Yes. Campaigned and ran, for their various parties, as well.
Yes. In 2017, the Conservative government lost its majority and entered into a supply and confidence arrangement with the Democrats' Union Party. And that worked. And in 2010, the general election produced a hung parliament. The Labour government remained until a majority of government would be formed. A coalition government was formed on the 12th of May 2010 between the Conservatives and the Liberals. And so far in 1974, the incumbent Conservative administration lost its majority. Edward Heath remained as Prime Minister for a few days while he tried to form a coalition. The general election was held on Thursday, and by Monday, Edward Heath had failed to form a coalition and resigned as Prime Minister. So it does work.
Yes.
It does work. There are precedents for what the person has said.
Okay. This person says, my earlier submission seems to have been misinterpreted. The single-member constituencies should not have been implemented without a proper party system. Please, could you address the point fully? Single-member constituencies should not have been implemented without a proper party system.
The party system.
What you're basically saying is that we had to have political parties, and I don't think that you can force political parties on anyone.
No.
People must see the wisdom as to whether or not they need political parties and whether or not they should join them. We would hope that after this time around, this is the third time now.
Yes.
We would hope by this now, people would see the wisdom of collectively getting together. Now, whether what you want to call them a party of independence, whatever it is,
whatever you want to call them,
get them together so that they can conform. They can conform with the provisions of the Constitution
of the party
that allows them to be able to, if they have the majority, to choose their leader.
And I put it this way. To you, Mr. For the record. If you have a step, and your step have tiles in it, and some tiles are loose, and every time you go up into your step, you fall down, get your ankles hurt, you have to go to the hospital to get your ankle wrapped. When you come out of the hospital after 1 or 2 times, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep walking up the same broken step? You're going to fix it. And this is the third time now that we have been in this position, and we expect to do the same thing and get a different result. This is going to always happen to us if people don't get together collectively and organize themselves collectively so that they can speak with one voice and have a leader to speak with them, for them. That is how the electoral system works in every other democratic society, except for here where we try to run the country. But now the problem that I have, and I will say so publicly, each independent run on with a different manifesto what they wanted. So how are they now going to get together unless they throw their manifestos in the wastebasket and they all sit down now and try to have one manifesto that reflects all that they have said? That is how the system works.
Or the other option would be to look at each manifesto, see what they have in common
and
adopt those,
yes.
And then the other ones, or try to to say, well, these are the ones that we're going to pursue, and what other ones.
Because remember now, when they go in cabinet, they have collective responsibility.
Well, we're going to talk about cabinet, and because what we're hearing from most people, many people, are concerned about the cabinet, the composition of cabinet, and the lack of experience based on the names that they're seeing put forward as cabinet ministers. And we want to talk about not only collective responsibility in cabinet and collective responsibility as a cabinet to the legislative assembly, but experience, the ability, and the will to work hard. And work hard means more than just saying that we're going to do this and we're going to do that, or going out into your community. You need to understand those complex pieces of legislation that you're going to be putting forward and everything else. Top of the hour, headline news, 9 o'clock. When we return, the phone lines, folks, will be open up. I must say to you that individually, you will not probably be able to speak as long as Dr. McPhail and I are speaking, because we will have callers queued up, and we want to give everyone an opportunity to have at least some say. Not as much as they may want to say, but at least some say. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have here on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice.
It is in the best interest of the people of these islands.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Government reported the results of 519 COVID-19 tests on Friday. 2 came back positive, both tested as part of routine screening. By Friday, more than 61,000 vaccines had been administered. The American Space Agency has successfully flown a small helicopter on Mars. The drone, called Ingenuity, was airborne for less than a minute, but NASA is celebrating what represents the first powered, controlled flight by an aircraft on another world. Confirmation came via a satellite at Mars, which relayed the chopper's data back to Earth. The space agency is promising more adventurous flights in the days ahead. And 2 men were killed after a Tesla car crashed into a tree and caught fire in Texas. And police believe there was nobody present in the driver's seat at the time of the accident. The 2019 Tesla Model S was traveling at a high speed when it failed to negotiate a curve on a winding road. The victims, both in their 50s, were found in the front passenger seat and in the back of the vehicle. Tesla did not immediately respond to the BBC's request for comment. Those are your headlines. I'm Karsley Fuller.
For the latest in news and information,
follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, radiocayman.gov.ky.
I grew up in a Canadian village with a general store that had just about anything you could ever need. That's what I'm reminded of every time I go into West Bay Pharmacy. It's not just because it's well stocked with necessities and oddities, but also because it's like our community hub. The staff treat customers like friends. Ron and the team of pharmacists have kept my family patched up and flu-free for years, and there are usually a few good laughs mixed in. They are truly taking care of my health and my family's health. West Bay Pharmacy is the very best of Cayman kind.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Okay, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve MacPhail. We have opened up the phone lines now. Meanwhile, until the calls start coming in, one person has written and said, I'm confused with the party system in Cayman. When this campaigning was on, I only saw 2 groups on stage, Wayne, Ozzy, and Heather, and the PPM. Now, after we voted, the PPM slate and Wayne got 2, we now see all these individuals saying that they have the majority. Another one says, my understanding is that Wayne Panton made a presentation to the governor giving the 10 names of a proposed independent government. I assume that these persons gave him their word and unqualified support. Since then, 2 of the persons who supposedly gave, quote unquote, gave their word were persuaded by progressive horse traders to switch their allegiance. This betrayal has caused considerable expected unrest. How much is a person's word worth? Seemingly little. If weak-willed people can break their word so easily, one must wonder if they are worthy enough to represent the people as members of Parliament. So those are 2 opinions that we received as well. We have a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, sir. Mr. Connor and Mr. MacPhail, I wanted to call back again, but I didn't get through what I had to say. To me, it looks like a lot. I understand. I'm not judging. I'm just saying because where there's smoke, there's fire. Here, there's a lot of money going around. This one paid off this person's loan and whatnot. That's the rumor. I'm just saying that. But like I say, where there's fire, where there's smoke, there's fire. And it seems to me like everybody wants a power. Everybody wants power, both sides. And everybody wants to be premier. Right now, it's 4 people want to be premier, I understand. So what's going on? Are you in there for yourself, to uplift yourself, or are you in there for the community and the well-being of the Cayman Island? Because I don't know why me and you, Mr. Connor, can't work together. We are all Caymanians at the end of the day, like the young lady called in first this morning, second after I called. We are all Caymanians at the end of the day, and we got to see each other along the road or in the shop somewhere, and we got hatred in our heart for each other, because this is not only politics. It looks like hatred and grudging for one another, and I think it got to stop, because I feel that other Caribbean islands, although they have the issues, Bermuda everywhere, but they're laughing at the Caymanians and saying, what's going on? Because I have an issue, gentlemen, is that Mr. MacPhail said it, and I said it again. Mr. Bush is a key card. And the part with that, he's the longest serving member there. plenty people does not want to work with Mr. Bush, but still they swallow what they call dog vomit, turn back his vomit. They have to take the man because he is a key in the political arena. And the part with that, it looks bad when people say, well, I'm not gonna speak to Mr. McFeel no more. I don't want nothing to do with him. And then you gotta turn around. And then both it looks bad on both sides. So that is only that is my opinion. I don't know what you all think about it, but that's my opinion. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Carl. Doc, any comments?
Well, no. It's everybody knows why neither side wants to deal with Mr. Bush. We don't know. We know it's not an ideological decision. We all know the reasons why, and we all know the reasons why, and I think I just better leave it there. Mm-hmm. But because no one wants to deal with him now, neither side has the majority to form a government. I'll put it. I'll just leave it simple as that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. One of our listeners has written in and said, "I am a PPM supporter and have voted for the candidate in my area, Georgetown East. The PPM must now realize that they have lost the election and should bow out graciously. Mr. Panton is quite capable of being the premier. I worked along with Mr. Panton at one of the leading law firms in the Cayman Islands. Don't know what happened with Mr. Panton and Mrs. Turner. I find them to be very deceptive. Hats off to Mrs. Turner. She ran a clean and very educational campaign. If she was going to become a PPM member, why would she run as an independent? I think she needs to apologize publicly to the nation." So that's another person's comment, there as well. Let's talk about some of the concerns. One, and maybe I need to share this one before we I go there. I have to find that message that was received in relation to here it is. Yeah, it's fairly long, but sorry. So many people voted for who they liked, not for a party. Now that individual has no way to form a government on his own. Therefore, the only choice is for that individual to join a group /team/party. The awesome foreign investment that has happened in Cayman in the very recent years is now viewed as rape, not as good progress. No gratitude for the success that Caymanians of old invited and welcomed investors from all over the world. The Butler brothers of the 60s come to mind. The elephant in the room is... and there's a corporation, and I won't name it at this point. We now have 2 or 3 other people who have learned about the opportunity to invest in Cayman. Therefore, the inflow of capital is huge. Many people who have not directly benefited from this influx are upset at what they see around them and the increasing value of property. Success is the problem, and I have no solution to offer. Now, I'm hearing also that based on some of the platforms, I didn't attend any political meeting, and I watched very little on YouTube or anything else, but there have been some promises made in terms of the overhaul of the system in the Cayman Islands that seem to be either unrealistic or will create total chaos if we try to do unravel everything at the same time. And that's what, in addition to looking at the inexperienced persons that are being suggested for cabinet positions, that is another concern that people have.
Yeah, that's a concern that people have, and you cannot unravel everything without a plan of how you are going to pay for all of the things that you are going to lose when you unravel everything. That has to be, and that should come from a participation of all the people in the Cayman Islands, not just one party or one group. Everybody should have should participate in the kind of democracy and the kind of economic system that we want to continue, and where we want our country to go for the next 20 or 55 or 150 or 200 years from now. The other point that I want to make, yes, there are some people who have gained a vote, who doesn't have any parliamentary experience. And I would like to say, and this is personal, what I would like to say, that both sides have good, experienced, sensible people in it, and perhaps that would be the best thing to break this impasse, because in my humble submissions, any cohesive society would expect that you would get the best of the best in the society, so that you could have good continuity. And no society, I believe, would want to get the best of the worst to continue a society. That is not how a society is built. You always get to try to get the best of the best. And like I say, there are good, sensible, experienced people on both sides. And I really don't understand up to now why the best of them don't get together and decided for the best of the Cayman Islands, for the interest of the Cayman Islands, for the continuity of the great democratic system which we have built from 1831. Why the best of them don't get together and try to form a find a solution to this impasse. I don't like what I'm seeing, and I am not a great businessman. I'm just a ordinary attorney, but I know that it's probably not going on good in the business sector. This non-accommodation of trying to get the best. Both sides have great people in them. They're both sides. There are people on both sides who can walk into the cabinet tomorrow and continue the cabinet, and walk overseas tomorrow and represent the Cayman Islands adequately. And I don't understand why this has to happen. Okay. And it shows us that our division is deeper than I believe it is. Our division is deeper, and I did not know that they were so ideologically separated that they cannot sit down and work this thing out.
Yeah. And the question is it ideology or is it
personality?
Something else? Yeah. Folks, we're going to take a commercial break. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Whether you're finishing a new condo, upgrading your rental property, or simply renovating, make Roper's Enterprises your first stop. Quality furniture at a fraction of the price. Find everything for your home and kitchen at low prices. Roper's, your neighborhood store. Value, integrity. Roper's Enterprises, 122 Industrial Way. Your home deserves a quality finish. Visit their showroom or shop online at ropers.ky. Ropers, providing products and services for better public health.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app, the future of mobile, saving lives today.
Visit Healthcare Pharmacy's second location in Governor Square, servicing West Bay and the 7 Mile Beach Corridor with the care and professionalism you have come to expect from Healthcare Pharmacy. Healthcare Pharmacy in Governor Square also stocks a huge selection of Hallmark and shoebox greeting cards, vitamins, sunblock, last minute, and everyday needs. To refill and transfer your prescriptions, simply WhatsApp 329-7313 or visit healthcarepharmacy.ky or drop by Monday to Saturday from 9 till 6.
For the Record with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the Record with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve McPhail. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. For the Record, and good morning to Doc.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Morning.
Yeah, I just heard Dr. McPhail made reference to the little, or he told a little, asked a question about getting your ankle hurt on your step that was broken, and why don't you fix it? And I think he made reference to the Turtle Meat fiasco and the little incident last year where we put together two parties because of the independents couldn't stay together, right? But I'm wondering, and he think that they should come by saying fix it. They should come together. Independents should come together and form a party. I'm wondering now if they're afraid to form a party or a group because after that they would be no longer independent. They would be no longer considered as a independent individually, or we would just refer to them as a party, like the PPM, the UDP, or whatever. They would no longer be independent. Is that what is scared of?
I'm still waiting to hear a clear definition of what they mean by independent, because several years ago on this show, we had people in here talking about independent candidates and independent thinkers and those who with a common thought getting together and forming governments. My question for anyone would be, you tell me, you point to me any country in modern day or even past where you have a country being run by independent by independent politicians. Name one. That would be my question to them. That would really be my question to them. But I think what people have if there is such a disregard or distrust for political parties, and Dr. McPhail always say it's not the parties, the people who operate the parties. We should show them that political parties can function effectively and can govern effectively.
And I have mentioned all of those other countries: India, Australia, New Zealand, Jamaica, Bermuda, Turks and Caicos, Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, Scotland, Ireland, Wales.
Yeah, I got a thought.
Germany,
okay,
France.
Doc. Okay. Suppose I got friends on all sides. Okay. Now, if my good friends on the independent side becomes the government, in cabinet, Mr. McPhail say they have collective responsibilities, right? Will that jump into play, or will a guy still say, "Listen, now, I'm still independent, Huh?
Well,
will the independence thought go out of the window?
No.
Because you're supposed to have, like Mr. McPhail say, a collective responsibility.
Yeah.
Will they still be thinking independently?
They can to a certain extent in cabinet. They can disagree.
Yes, they can disagree.
If a paper, I know they can disagree.
But they're all collectively responsible when the responsibility comes and the finger pointing comes. They all have to bear the same burden.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm wondering. I'm wondering how whether there'll be more bickering inside, they're trying to sort things out, or everybody just come together and do what they got to do, which I would hope that is the case, because I hear people talking a lot about inexperience. But in my opinion, all the guys that have been elected as independent have the same ability that all the other ones that have been in there that have accumulated experience. And that's the only how they can get experience, if you give them a break at it.
But you use an important word there, accumulated. That means that over a period of time. So that is why it is important for some people to just simply sit back, look and learn, observe and learn, and prepare yourself so that at the end of the day you have a much better chance of succeeding.
Like Mr. Orman, if you read Mr. Native Son, that what Mr. Orman did. He said for 1 year he didn't even speak when he went there in the parliament. He learned from all of the other people who was in there. He learned the procedures. He learned everything. But you see, that's the problem. We don't know how independents are going to at the end of the day, what are they going to do when collective responsibility grips when they not only they're collective responsible in the cabinet, they're also collective responsible to the parliament too. And then but see, the advantage that the party has is that you have to vote on the party policy. You have to vote for them, and that's what we
unless you're relieved,
you're relieved for a conscience vote. And so you have to vote. You just can't vote. Do what you want to do. You have to play the game that the football coach and the team managers have outlined for you to win. You just can't go and say, "Well, I'm not following the playbook. I'll go and run down the sideline myself and expect the quarterback to throw me the ball there."
Yep. Caller, I'm going to ask you to leave us there so we can grab another caller before we get to
just got a little joke on Mr. McFeel. Is there any section in the Constitution where after they get elected, after they assemble, they can bring somebody from the outside to sit in cabinet with them? Because I'm available.
No, we can't. We can't. We don't have any provision in the Constitution to do that.
Thank you very much, caller. Next caller. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, gentlemen. Special good morning to Mr. McFeel, number one from the block.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
I just called to ask a question because up until now I can't understand what's going on down Cayman after this election. What's happening? Can somebody tell me?
You mean what's happening in terms of the...
I hear they're having all kind of talks, all kind of marches, all kind of things. Is it so?
Yeah, some things are happening. We'll see what happens on Wednesday if the governor summons the parliament, issues a proclamation and summons the parliament on Wednesday. We will either have a clear resolution and you will know who your premier and who your
cabinet
will be, or we may not. But Wednesday will tell the tale.
Okay, one last question. Did the independence people win the most seats or the PPM?
Independents. You have more independents elected to parliament than party members.
Well, that would mean they would have to go form their own party.
Okay, some people are saying that.
Tell them to form their own party and then they can't have no more arguments. That's it.
Okay.
If I'm wrong, gentlemen, I'm sorry. That's just my feeling.
No, that's what a lot of people are saying.
Cayman, stop giving the Cayman Islands a bad name over here. And stop it just for position. They're not going to help you with the next 4 years.
Okay.
I have spoken. Gentlemen, have a good day, especially to you, Mr. McFeel.
Thank you very much, number one. Dark Hairs One says, why can't we consider having the Honorable Steve McFeel as the Speaker of the House? It should be an honor and out of respect and gratitude for the contribution he has made and still does for this country. He has earned and deserves this honor bestowed upon him. Why not? Well, the I'll give you a chance to respond to it, but sometimes parties or groups have the luxury of offering the speakership to someone outside when things are pretty tight in terms of numbers. That may be the wise thing to do. When it means getting another member of parliament on board, you may have to have that to offer up, to get them on board. So, it depends on the situation that the politicians find themselves in. Doc?
Well, it depends on the position. It would be. I would accept a speakership if I was offered one. I would be. I would be happy to serve my country in any capacity that I have had an offer to serve. I already served my country in a capacity in a government from 2010 to 2013. But I don't think that certain factions would want me to be speaker. Because I don't think it depends on your ability and your experience. It depends on whether they like you or not. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't be sitting around waiting for someone to like me enough to be able to appoint me as speaker. I would want to be appointed speaker because of my ability and my experience and the fact that I would be qualified to do the job.
Okay. All right. We're going to try to grab one call before we go to the commercial break. DJ Lynn, first caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, OC. Morning, Dr.
How are you? How are you?
Good morning.
Hey, I'm a champion, man.
Congratulations again to your sterling run.
Yes.
Yeah. And you will find out what true independent is. When you come to the meeting and you got corned beef sandwich and tuna fish sandwich and a little bit of cold water and Pepsi or some of the soda. And I came out knowing that the chances are to get elected against a minister who is buying votes through agriculture and paving roads. But I'm a champion because I made her talk about marijuana. Yeah. She had to jump on that train, and it cost me a lot of votes. But I had a good bet. I had a bet with me and the Max Bow and some people. And she had to come there because she would do anything for just the power and the glory. But Dr. Steve, if I had crossed the border as an independent, I was sticking to the people that what I came on, and I was sticking to that. And people could tell me about, if you don't get on cabinet, come on back. That's a lie. Come on back, and then come on will get their share of the budget. It don't matter who is on the cabinet. Mm-hmm. You will get our share.
Absolutely right.
And Dr. Steve, before I go, I will tell you one thing. That person that came up about you speaker of the House, I had you in my mind all the time because if I got elected, and this coming from the heart, you were going to be the first person that I will come in and sit down and talk to. So you have a nice day.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that caller. Mm-hmm. Time for us to take a commercial break. When we return, we will take those calls that are queued up as well. So please stay tuned.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
Did you know the third most important factor for customer retention is cleanliness? With 95% of shoppers saying exterior appliance influences where they decide to shop. Keep your business clean with Roper's Janitorial. From offices to restaurants, interior and exterior, walls to rugs and flooring. Roper's cleans it all, including 24-hour emergency service. Roper's Janitorial, 949-2511 or email janitorial@ropers.ky. Dress your business for success with Roper's Janitorial. We make your business shine. 949-2511. Roper's, providing products and services for better public health.
Hi, I'm remodeling our bathroom. I have a few questions.
Sure.
What are some ideas to make my bathroom feel larger? How do I know if I'm picking the right vanity? How do I choose a new toilet or a new countertop? Also, the lighting is terrible. Can I put a window or a skylight? And do I really need an exhaust fan?
You've come to the right place. At Brand Source, we custom design kitchen and baths, and our talented design team can help answer your questions. Whether you're looking for a modern, functional family bathroom or a luxurious personal retreat, we'll help create that beautiful space that makes your home yours. And if you're in a rush for a new look and have a limited budget, our ready-to-install bathroom vanities, built with solid wood and countertops of the finest materials, are a quick and easy remodeling solution.
For the very best in custom-designed kitchens and baths, visit Brand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, Cayman's Kitchen and Bath Center.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record, with Ort Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We have two callers. Before we go to the caller, I want to share a WhatsApp message. And this one is coming from a political operative in another jurisdiction, an independent country in the Caribbean. This individual has advised candidates, political parties, and governments. And it reads, Caymanian preoccupation with independence really baffles me. In most Caribbean countries, independents do not stand a ghost of a chance at the polls. It is a recipe for confusion and instability.
Yes. Well, he's probably right.
Yep. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Back on the record. First thing I'd like to say, there was a comment earlier somebody made concerning forming the government, saying that Mr. Wayne Patton and Mr. Mike Taggart should get together, and they should be the two heads, separating the two sides. I think that's a good idea, but unfortunately, the Progressive doesn't think that way. They think that they're the people's government when they lost by 5,000 votes when you come to the partition sides. The other thing is, Mr. Mike Field made this clear to me, but I'm going to hit it again. He said the party system is not the problem. What we're facing, though, is bad apples embedded in the party that we can't seem to get out. And it's all due to the lack of education of the Caymanian people. So the only way we can do that is dismantle the party. And that's what we're working at. We've spoken 3 times. The one-man, one-vote system was implemented, accepted into the democratic process, and we voted twice. This is our second time voting now for independence. So the Caymanian people are speaking, but nobody wants to listen. So if they straighten up, yes, we can keep the parties, no problem, but you have to think differently. People in the parties who reserve the power have to think differently. We want them to think differently. Thirdly,
and they want to need to set up a big tent so that they accommodate everyone, which has not necessarily been the case.
Thank you very much. I'm going to refer now to Mr. Isaac Rankin. He's a co-worker of mine. I have no problem with Isaac at all. But this is the problem that we're looking at. If you're running independent and you're supporting a progressive party, you should say it in your meetings or your manifesto or whatever. However, get it to the public. And I'm pretty sure if he had did that, 50% of the votes he wouldn't have got. Take Mr. Alva Suku, for example. I have the highest respect for Mr. Alva Suku, especially his honesty. But walking on the platform of the progressive caused him an election. So all the evidence is around everything that we're doing, but nobody wants to pay attention.
But you can't compare. You can't compare. You shouldn't compare. I think it would be unfair, to compare Newlands with East End.
Exactly.
In what way?
Completely different set of politics there. Someone earlier pointed out that the Mr. McLean campaigned with Mr. Chris Saunders, that EastEnders voted to get Mr. McLean out, just by deduction, would they vote to get Mr. McLean out because he supported Chris Saunders, an independent, and put Mr. Rankin in to do the same thing? They say that is illogical.
Okay, let's look at the history then.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. McLean has always been independent, but also...
Not always. He was a part of the Progressives at one point.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But he also had the liberty to join parties. Did the EastEnders make any noise about that? No, because it was the way it was done. He made sure the people were informed, even after he won election, what he has to do and why he's doing it. This was the flip in the dark. That's completely different.
Okay.
Get my point?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day.
Thank you very much. Good points. Any more callers on there, DJ Lynn? Okay. Doc, Mr. Elvis McKeever raised a very important point about the sister islands and their representation in cabinet. And I want you to talk about the representation in Parliament that is guaranteed for the sister islands, whereas in cabinet, a completely different story.
Well, under the Constitution, the sister island is guaranteed 2 representatives. That's constitutional guarantee, but there's no guarantee that they are going to have a representation in the cabinet. The representation in the cabinet depends on their juxtaposition with whoever forms the majority government, and select either one of those members from the sister island who is guaranteed a seat in the parliament, but it does not guarantee any seat in the cabinet.
Okay, Doc, we may have to go down to the LA and demonstrate ourselves as well, because so many messages coming in supporting you as speaker. We may have to get some placards together and go down there and say, Dr. Steve McField for speaker. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Roti. Good morning, Mr. McField.
Good morning.
I want to say congratulations to all of those who won in the election.
And congratulations to you as well for having the courage to get out there and stand.
Yeah, thank you. Congratulations to all those that won. I don't have any sour grapes with anyone. However, we need to get on with the running of this country. Things are so bad for the Caymanian people. People have been disenfranchised. Imagine we have over 10,000 people, getting assistance from NAU. We have over 1,400 persons on permanent support from NAU. We have a $6 minimum wage that just does not cut it. 5 years ago, a carpenter could work in Cayman for $25 to $28 an hour. And now I'm seeing adverts in the papers for carpenters, experienced carpenters, for $10 to $12 an hour. We have regressed. We have not progressed. And we will not progress under this progressive administration, because as I heard them say, they had not increased any taxes. But I want the people to understand, one of the first things they did, they increased the police record from $10 to $25. That's a 150% increase. Lots of other things were increased in this country that has made life harder and more miserable for Caymanian people. And this was one of the reasons I decided to go and run to try and see if I could add some solutions to the problem. But it seems like people want to complain, but then they carry on the same thing. So if you want change and you make the change, then you have to stick with it. You cannot get coffee when you put tea in a cup. And this is a problem that we're having. The progressives have lost, and I think they need to understand that. The independents need to band themselves together, and this country needs to go forward. But we will never go forward with this conundrum. And thank you.
Right, so do you feel you feel that the country should move forward with a full slate of independents or with a coalition government? You feel that they should try to work out something as far as a coalition is concerned, especially if the vast majority of the people are concerned about the obvious lack of experience in those names that are being put forward as far as cabinet ministers are concerned?
Great question. And my answer to that is, I believe for the best interest of the country, we should use the best minds and we should have a coalition government and choose the best from each side. That is my humble opinion.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much for that. This person has written in and said, how do you feel about changing the elections law so anyone who applies as a candidate must have a good level of qualification and degrees? The same way we are applying for jobs on the street, we need degrees and passes in order just to apply. Election office should not just look if you have a criminal record, see if you have other qualities as well. Some people would see that as being elitist, that if you have to have and we've had many good politicians with no more than just a formal education.
Great ones, even in the worst of times. You had people like Uncle Lenny from East End. You had great people in the legislature who could hardly read and write, but they were great legislators. And so that would be outrageous, I think, and it would be discriminatory, but in a democracy, because anyone who is qualified, otherwise qualified, a citizen, is mentally and physically stable, who should have the right to stand for election.
And when you look at the private sector and business, you have many people who have been successful and millionaires and billionaires without a formal education as well.
Well, I hope they don't. I hope that they don't. I don't get flock for this, but I can think of one person who is the ultimate successful businessman in this country too, and that is Mr. Clarence Flowers, who didn't have any college education and stuff, and built a great empire. And my cousin Kent Rankin, who didn't have any formal education and built an empire.
Yes.
So you don't have to have. You don't have to have a great education to be able to be a good legislator.
Yes, and the late Kent Rankin realized afterwards, and while he was a businessman, went back to school.
He went back to school
to get his education as well.
Yes.
Last commercial break for the morning. 14 minutes left when we return. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Green Turtle, modern solutions to get you through the new normal. Download the Green Turtle app now and top up yours or a loved one's phone with any mobile carrier in any destination. Home delivery of laptops, tablets, phones, accessories, and iTunes and major online retailer gift cards. And now, home deliveries of groceries and courier service. Guaranteed delivery within 2 hours from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Visit their list of products at greenturtle.ky or download the Green Turtle app today. Green Turtle is not only the future of mobile, but today it can help save a life. Take a ride on the Green Turtle Express today. Download the Green Turtle app. The future of mobile, saving lives today.
There's nothing like the smell of freshly baked bread. The warm, inviting aroma, the fresh and natural taste. Just like homemade. 100% all-natural, additive-free bread.
Enjoy fresh and natural tasting bread from the iconic Caribbean Bakery. Always delivered fresh to your favorite supermarkets island-wide. Forget the imported frozen and thawed and enjoy our freshly baked selection of quality breads and pastries.
Try our classic white and wheat sandwich breads, coconut and raisin breads, hamburger and hot dog buns, and a great selection of pastries. Feed your family fresh with Caribbean Bakery.
Did you know that defective airbags can cause serious injury or even death if not repaired immediately? Right now, millions of vehicles around the world are under recall for faulty Takata airbags, and yours could be one of them. At Vant Motors, our priority is to make sure the Toyota or Ford you drive is safe. So we are offering customers a free, fast, and easy airbag swap out if your vehicle was manufactured in 2016 or earlier. Find out if you need to have new airbags installed by emailing your Ford or Toyota vehicle's VIN or vehicle identification number to service@vampmotors.com or stop by Vamp's Service Center or call us at 949-2245. Don't risk it. Get the airbags in your Toyota or Ford checked for free at Vamp Motors on Walkers Road.
For the record, with Ort Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matter. For the record, with Orit Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Dr. Steve Macfield. We have two callers. DJ Lynn, we're going to make those the last two calls for the morning because I want to give Dr. Steve Macfield a chance for some closing comments. And I have one more scenario to put forward to Dr. Macfield as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
Good morning. Go right ahead,
Yes.
sir. We're hearing you.
Okay, there's a question I have. It seems that you got all of these supposedly educated people that are elected from the last government. In that case, how come that people are so unsatisfied and they seem to be making so much blunders in the decisions they make? Then they got to call in so much experts to give us advice. So when it comes to that kind of thing, I think the independents, in my opinion, they should have a chance. Regardless of what, everybody has to have a chance to see what they can do. And I'm sure that we have some brilliant young people into that independent party. So let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Have a good day.
Thank you very much, caller. Thank you. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, sir. Speaking about the person whose correspondence you read a while ago. Speaking about, to be educated, so on and so forth.
Yes.
It would be wonderful. I was 6 years old on Shedden Road, going to the bicycle shop just to stand up, just steal away, going to the bicycle shop just to stand up and smell that new scent there.
That was Mr. Ashford Patton's bike.
I used to run crossroad and see, do my thing. But, I remember being on the road one day and just thinking, not hearing anything about PhDs because we didn't used to have that kind of conversation. But I just wanted Caymanians to have the biggest education. I used to call it the biggest education that they could have. And I would want all of us, even today, to find a pathway to be educated to the highest levels, at the highest levels, etc., etc. But somebody's always going to fall through the cracks, maybe through no fault of their own. And if we begin to limit our people, such a small population that are truly Caymanians, we begin to limit our people in those ways, we are done dead. We feel dead today. Those of us who love this country, we feel dead. But we are done dead at that time when we begin to limit our people. Of course, I don't think that a person who cannot basic read and write would apply for the job. After that, it is good intentions, love for country, ergo love for people, and to have a conscience to ditch corruption if you ever knew it, get away far from it. If you didn't know it, stay where you are, stay far from it. And I think they will do just as good as anybody else because there are stories around the world. If you would look for them, where people of little education did well for their people. And those kinds of people understand more than most people understand what the use or the need of a good education is. So maybe if we had one or two of them standing up calling for education for us today, we would be better off. That would be a totally, in my humble opinion, a totally regressive move. And we can't get much lower down the totem pole than we already are.
True.
Anyway, have a good day, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, my friend. As usual, right on point. So, Doc, my question for those persons who support the concept of independent candidates and a country being run by independent candidates. If the philosophy is that independent candidates will make better politicians, if you have an independent candidate who has a manifesto with certain ideals, certain goals it wants to achieve, and you have a political party that has a manifesto with similar or identical goals to achieve, maybe more than the individual because it's a party, would those proponents of independent candidates vote for the independent candidate, or would they vote for the political party with a similar platform, with a similar manifesto, with similar ideals, and a party that has the ability to deliver simply because of their position, of the organization, and everything else? Would they still vote for independent candidate? That's a question that I throw out there to people.
Well, yeah, and when I analyze your question you put out, it seems to me that it would be the political party that people ought to vote for, because the political party has the constitutional advantage. Because under the Section 49 of the Constitution, if you are a political party and you have the majority, you do not have to go to a vote in the Legislative Assembly to choose your leader, to choose the government. Mm-hmm. You automatically just recommend to the governor which one of you are going to be premier. You don't have to go to any vote, and where you might go to the vote in the Legislative Assembly and you might lose the vote, even though at the polls you had a majority, but by the time you get to the Legislative Assembly, you might lose the vote. So it seems to me that the advantage that in that scenario that you gave would be the political party would have the constitutional benefit, because the Constitution talks about the political party who has the majority. All they have to do is just send a note to the government and says, "Art Connor is going to be our premier," and that's it. The government is formed.
Okay. Now the question, the point that Mr. McKeever raised in relation to the Sister Islands. Did we cover that before?
Yeah, we covered that already.
Covered that?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let's give you an opportunity for some closing comments and observations, Doc.
I would like to. There's so many people who's frustrated about what's been happening and from the government. I have some notes here. And I want to say that there have been many at times when no party had a majority following a general election. In 1923, the Conservative Party lost their majority in the UK of the general election. It was unable to form a coalition. The party led by Stanley Baldwin lost a vote on the King's Speech in January 1924. The Labour Party under Ramsay MacDonald then took office and governed as a minority administration until October of that year. And in 1974, the incumbent Conservative administration lost its majority. Edward Heath remained as Prime Minister for a few days while he tried to form a coalition. The general election was held on a Thursday, and by Monday, Edward Heath had failed to form a coalition and resigned as Prime Minister. And in 2010, the general election produced a hung parliament. The Labour government remained until a majority government could be formed. A coalition government was formed on the 12th of May 2010 between the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats. And in 2017, the general election resulted in a hung parliament, with no party winning on an overall majority, and the Conservative Party won the largest number of seats and votes and formed a minority administration after negotiating a confidence and supply agreement with the Democratic Union Party. Mm-hmm. So this is no. It's no big thing that we are still negotiating. This happens all over where you don't win a majority. Mm-hmm. I think the Israelis are had to call 2 or 3 elections within 2 or 3 years because the parties were so close that they had to run the government by minority governments. So I just hope that they can get together, and in the new parliament, they have the best of the best, to represent us. I don't see why we can't get the best of the best, because as I have said all along, there are great, good, reliable, experienced people on both sides, And if we want the best for Cayman, I think that what we should do is take the best of them and form a government and let's get on with our business.
Now, we're seeing members of the public and, social media is playing such a huge role in this. And we're seeing the voters getting out there and trying to influence decisions that are made by the candidates. Should the candidates and the parties and the independents be left to work things out themselves as opposed to getting the public getting involved at this point
stage?
In time?
Yes. They have been elected. They have been just elected. I think they should be left alone to work the situation out themselves. I don't believe that they should be pushed to make an agreement by intimidation and by shouting and stuff. I believe that the best option is for them to sit down and trash out all of the differences between them.
And not try to play it out in the public forum, because that's what's been happening.
They'll never get anywhere like this, because if that happens, I can assure you that an agreement under those circumstances will not last very long. Even if they are able to form a government, the government will not last very long. That would be my predicament.
Okay. Well, my little piece is that this too shall pass. We need to be patient. It's not a situation where we don't have answers for it, or solutions, for it at the end of the day. Some of those solutions may not please persons, and I would not throw out the option that we could possibly have early elections to get these numbers sorted out once and for all. I wouldn't put that past reality that it is quite possible that you could have early elections if it were to play out, play in a certain direction. So, folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands. I also want to thank Dr. Steve MacPhail for being on the show with me again this morning. I also want to remind you that we are brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. So I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful Cayman Islands, which we all love and want to see succeed at the end of the day.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Coca-Cola, available across the Cayman Islands from Tortuga Distributors, except